Lord's Day 10 picks up where Lord's Day 9 left off with regard to the discussion about essentially God's providence. There are two questions in Lord's Day 10, questions 27 and 28. Question 27 asks, what do you understand by the providence of God? And it answers, providence is the almighty and ever-present power of God, by which he upholds as with his hand heaven and earth and all creatures, and so rules them that leaf and blade, rain and drought, fruitful and lean years, food and drink, health and sickness, prosperity and poverty, all things, in fact, come to us not by chance, but from his fatherly hand. And then question 28, how does the knowledge of God's creation and providence help us? And the answer is we can be patient when things go against us, thankful when things go well, and for the future, we can have good confidence in our faithful God and Father that nothing will separate us from his love. All creatures are so completely in his hand that without his will, they can neither move nor be moved. All right, three quick things about Lord's Day 10. The first of those is that we have reiterated here for us that God is in control of all. That is, he is in proactive, sovereign control of all. And because of that, there is no chance or luck. And that just reminds us of how really superstitious we are as people, whether it's a lucky number or lucky shirt or any of that kind of thing. Superstition is really the sort of witchcraft in terms of the ability to affect the powers that control things. But as Christians, we recognize that that's not the case, that we're not in a position to do that, that God is in proactive control of all things, and so we entrust ourselves to him. The second real quick thing about Lord's Day 10 is this discussion about how all things come to us not by chance, but from his fatherly hand, and it includes things that aren't so good. So this leads us into a discussion of the will of God, and just want to take a brief moment here to recap that, as we've talked about that in the past, God's will. So there are four different aspects of thinking about God's will. The first is the overall way of thinking about God's will in terms of his sovereign will or his plan. That's the big picture, that everything that happens is part of his will, part of his sovereign plan. But within that, there are three other aspects of his will. The first is that we can distinguish his performative will, meaning things that he performs or things that he does. So he created the world, so the creation of the world is his will because he did it, and other things like that. Second, there is his prescriptive will, meaning he writes out a prescription, here, do this. And that is, of course, his law, and particularly for us, his moral law, where he tells us how he wants us to live. That's his prescriptive will. And then we have the category of his permissive will. And that's where sin factors in. So sin and different difficult things that happen to us, he allows them, just as he allowed the fall originally and our falling into sin, he allows them to serve his purposes, his redemptive purposes. So it's important for us to recognize that while everything is, in one sense or another, part of God's will, it is of various types. That helps us to distinguish one type of situation from another, and helps us to understand how, as the Catechism dealt with previously, God is not responsible for sin. It is his will in the sense that he permitted it and permits it currently, but he did not perform it, nor does he prescribe it to us to do. So he is not responsible for it. That's the second thing. The third quick thing related to Lord's Day 10 is, once again, this confidence and peace that we can have because we believe these things, that we believe in God's providence, his providential care. And specifically, as we mentioned in Lord's Day 9, they are confidence and peace. And this particular question 28 adds a little nuance to that by saying that all creatures are so completely in his hand that without his will they can neither move nor be moved. So it's not just we who are his children who are completely in his hand, it's all creatures. So it's the boss at work, it's the person down the street, it's everyone, and everything is firmly in his hand. And so we can trust and have confidence in God's sovereign control of all things. All right, those are 3 quick things from Lord's Day 10.